Okay, so before Christmas I was in my local cash converters and I saw a Gameboy Advance SP Backlight edition for $17.99. I couldn't believe my luck. I snapped it up straight away, and the guy was almost apologetic when he was ringing it through the till, and I was saying to him, look, I've been looking for these for so long. These things to try and find in the wild, it's pretty much impossible now. They had a very limited release back in 2006 in Europe, and obviously they are getting more and more difficult to track down. The backlight edition is so much better than the frontlight edition. You can see the difference in the screens here just with them turned off. It's night and day comparison. I was really impressed with the quality of the screen, so I thought $17.99 is a bargain, to be honest. I've got no intention of selling it on or anything, but what I did want to do is bring it up to standard, because it looked as if maybe a young child or a small dog had been using it as a chew toy, because there was quite a lot of marks around the screen, around the edges of the casing. So I got in touch with a company that I've used before that supply aftermarket reshells for these things, and they sent one for me over the Christmas holidays. They normally do next day delivery on these things. They are quite good, these guys, and they supply you with everything you need, but because of the Christmas holidays they were out of office, and took a couple of days longer than it normally would, but they got it to me just before New Year, and they also upgraded me to a glass lens as well, just as a little bonus. So I was really excited. I picked the black shell because I just want to keep this sort of as low key as possible. Really, that pro pink shell is not really for me, but they supply you with all the tools that you need. When I say all the tools that you need, you get basically a posi drive screwdriver and a tri-wing, because they're the only screws that are in this this unit, and then you just need like maybe a little sharp craft knife or something to get the unit open. But once you've raised all the screws out of the housing, it is sort of step by step. There's plenty of instructables and tutorials online on how to strip these things down, but I was really impressed with how clean the actual motherboard was, considering that this console is maybe 11-12 years old. It's pretty much in as new condition underneath the shell. So these things have got a lot of history to them. God knows how many playgrounds this has been in, how many kids' pockets, but it's still working as new. Please don't do what I did here. I'm using a knife to uncouple the video cable from the motherboard. Just use your fingers. I was doing this for the purpose of the video, and certainly don't press the knife into the video cable like that. But the motherboard and everything came away quite easy, and I'm surprised, as I say, just how clean it was. All the micro switches are pretty much as good as new. So I'm really looking forward to sort of using this as my new daily driver. Also, just remember to salvage the speaker out of the old housing there as well. And the next steps there is to just pop the little rubber bumpers out of the housing that contain the screen. Again, no difficult steps in this at all, really. Really quick. You can probably do this within maybe inside of an hour if you've got the right time and the tools available. Once you've done that, you just see 5 little tri-wing screwdrivers. What I would say though is do make sure that you're firm but fair when you're raising these screws out, because the screwdriver itself and the screws, they can strip quite easily, so you don't want to cause yourself difficulties further down the line. And there's also a little hinge screw there that I keep missing. I've done this refurb a couple of times now, and I keep missing that little screw. But once you get the screen out, it's a really simple procedure to get the lens off. You just need to use like a little knife or a little sharp blade, and once you've freed one corner, the rest of the screen just comes away with no real difficulty. It's nice, soft adhesive, it's nice and malleable, and the screen will just pry right off with your fingers. You don't need to do any heat treatments or anything like that. But time is of the essence as well. You want to get the cover off the new lens and get that seated as soon as possible, because obviously you don't want any dust settling on the screen. And also make sure you remove the film from the screen before you put it back in the housing, because that'll cause you problems later on. Probably the most difficult part of this whole refurb is popping those little hinges out of the old housing, because as I say before, they are proprietary. You just need to make sure that you do salvage them, and there's little colour coded end caps on them as well. obviously you could leave them on, but if you're going to do a reshell, you may as well go the whole hog and replace the end caps on them as well. Really easy to do. Just make sure that they don't fire off across the room and you'll never see them again. And then obviously when you're at that stage, it's just a case of working backwards. So you just want to make sure that you reseat the hinges in the new housing. But I find it's best to, rather than try and brute force them in, spin them round a bit and push them in. And they do tend to go in easier if you open and close the hinge itself on the new case. So if you don't put too much force on it, but they will click in. But obviously don't be afraid to give it a bit of extra pressure to get them back in the housing. And then obviously, again, just a case of working backwards. So just put the new cable, the cable from the screen back into the new housing and close it up again. Obviously with these reshell kits you get all the screws and everything that you need, so you get like 5 brand new tri-wing screws that you can put into that housing there, along with the new colour coded bumpers that you can put on shortly. Again, that hinge screw gets me every time. I almost forgot to put that in, but once you've reached this stage, you just want to put your original speaker back in and connect the motherboard up to the screen again. Really simple to do these things. I mean, these consoles, I think the Game Boy Advance has become recently my sort of favourite platform. I think it's got an amazing library of games. It's super portable. It's a great form factor. That clamshell design from like the mid 2000s, which was emulating all the smartphones around at the time. I just think it's perfect. It's so light, it's easy to carry. It's one of these things that, I don't know, it's like a no-brainer for me. And especially considering the fact that I recently picked up an Easy Flash 4 cartridge, which allows me to just load as many ROMs as I want onto like a micro SD. I can carry around so many different games. I'm playing through Golden Sun at the moment, and I've got the sequel lined up. I've got all the Pokemon games on there and a few different Pokemon hacks which have been made by the Pokemon community. I'm just having so much fun with this. I actually carry this thing around in my Nintendo Switch case, because it's one of these things that you can just pull out at a moment's notice. If you've got like a spare 5 minutes, you can do a bit of gaming. This is probably my favourite part of the whole refurb, actually, is taking the adhesive off the little decal there and seating that on the front of the console. I wanted to keep it black because I want to make it as innocuous as possible. I do tend to leave things lying around, so I thought, if it's all black, if it just looks like a little clamshell sort of console, even if I do lose it, the chances are I could get it back. But anyway, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's probably one of my most favourite refurbs I've done in recent months. I'm going to be carrying this around with me for a long time, and I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, thanks for your time.